National Commission for Protection of Child Rights. The National Commission for Protection of Child Rights, NCPCR, is an important body in India that was established to safeguard the rights of children. It is not based on the Constitution but was created by law, specifically through the Commissions for Protection of Child Rights Act, 2005, enacted by the Indian Parliament. The NCPCR started its work in the year 2007, and its main goal is to protect, promote, and defend the rights of children across the country. Child rights in India are aligned with the international standards set by the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child, which was adopted on 20 November 1989. India ratified this convention on 11 December 1992. According to this convention, a child is defined as anyone who is below the age of 18. This definition helps in addressing various concerns that affect this age group. The NCPCR is responsible for monitoring the implementation of laws and programs that aim to protect children. This includes taking action whenever there are violations of children's rights. The Commission has several important objectives, including the following. It takes note of and addresses issues related to the violation of children's rights. This means that if any child faces discrimination, abuse, or neglect, the Commission is there to help resolve those issues. It ensures that all laws, policies, and programs in India consider the rights of children as outlined in the Constitution and the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child. This means that all government actions regarding children should promote their welfare, safety, and dignity. The NCPCR operates independently as an autonomous body. However, it works under the administrative supervision of the Ministry of Women and Child Development of the Government of India. This allows the Commission to function effectively while being aligned with governmental policies aimed at fostering the growth and development of children in the country. From a constitutional perspective, child rights are further supported by Article 21, which guarantees the right to life and personal liberty, and Article 39(e) and 39(f), which emphasize the need for the state to protect children from exploitation and ensure their capacity to develop healthily. Additionally, Article 45 directs the state to provide early childhood care and education for all children until they reach the age of 6. In summary, the National Commission for Protection of Child Rights plays a crucial role in promoting and protecting children's rights in India, aligning efforts with national and international frameworks for the welfare of children. Its objectives highlight the commitment of the Indian government to ensure that every child enjoys their rights and has the opportunity for a safe and promising future. Composition of the Commission for Child Welfare. The Commission for Child Welfare is an important group made up of several members, led by a chairperson. This group consists of a total of 7 individuals, 1 chairperson, and 6 members. It is essential that at least 2 of the 6 members are women, showing a commitment to gender representation. The chairperson must be a well-respected individual who has made significant contributions to the welfare of children. The 6 members should also have strong backgrounds in certain important areas. These areas include education, child health care and development, juvenile justice, child labor elimination, child psychology or sociology, and laws related to children. Appointment, salary, and tenure. The members of the Commission, including the chairperson, are appointed by the central government. However, the selection of the chairperson is slightly different. A special committee, which includes 3 members and is led by the minister responsible for women and child development, recommends a candidate for the chairperson position. Regarding their compensation, the salaries, allowances, and service conditions for the chairperson and the members are set by the central government. Once appointed, their terms cannot be reduced to their disadvantage. This means they will not receive less pay or worse conditions after being hired. The chairperson and the members serve for a term of 3 years, and they cannot serve for more than 2 terms. Additionally, there are age limits for these positions. The chairperson cannot be older than 65 years, while the other members should not exceed 60 years of age. If they choose to resign, they can do so at any time by submitting a resignation to the central government. Removal from office. The central government holds the power to remove the chairperson or any member from their position under specific circumstances. This can occur if they are found guilty of misbehavior or if they are deemed incapable of doing their job. Other reasons for removal include bankruptcy, taking paid work outside their official duties, refusing to fulfill their responsibilities, being declared mentally unfit by a court, abusing their position in a way that harms public interest, being convicted of serious crimes, or missing 3 meetings in a row. Legal framework. The functioning and governance of this commission are backed by various constitutional articles and laws. For example, the protection of children's rights is emphasized under Article 15(3) of the Indian Constitution, which allows the state to make special provisions for children. Additionally, the Juvenile Justice, Care and Protection of Children Act, 2015, provides a framework for the care and protection of children in distress and aims to ensure their welfare. In summary, the Commission for Child Welfare plays a critical role in protecting and promoting the rights and welfare of children in India. With a strong structure focusing on expertise and integrity, it aims to ensure that children's needs are prioritized in every aspect of governance and society. Functions of the National Commission for Protection of Child Rights, NCPCR. The National Commission for Protection of Child Rights, NCPCR, plays a crucial role in ensuring the protection and promotion of children's rights in India. It is a body set up under the Commission for Protection of Child Rights Act, 2005, which is anchored in Article 39(e) and Article 39(f) of the Indian Constitution. These articles mandate the state to ensure that children are not abused and that childhood is protected against exploitation and against opportunities and facilities that may be conferred upon children. The NCPCR has a range of functions designed to uphold and protect these rights. Firstly, the NCPCR is responsible for reviewing the laws and safeguards that are meant to protect child rights. This means they look into current laws and assess if they are effectively helping children. If they find gaps, they make recommendations for improving these laws to ensure the best interests of children are prioritized. Additionally, the Commission must submit reports to the central government each year and at other times if necessary. These reports detail how well the current safeguards are working in protecting child rights. By doing this, the Commission keeps the government informed about the situation of children's rights and any necessary changes that should be made. Another important function is investigating violations of child rights. If there are complaints or reports of children's rights being violated, the NCPCR takes action by suggesting that legal proceedings be initiated against those responsible. They are dedicated to ensuring that any form of abuse, neglect, or discrimination against children is addressed properly. The Commission also looks into various factors that may prevent children from enjoying their rights. These factors include crises like terrorism, communal riots, natural disasters, domestic violence, and more. When they identify these issues, they recommend solutions based on the specific needs of affected children. Furthermore, the NCPCR pays special attention to vulnerable groups of children. This includes children in difficult situations like those living in poverty, children who have been in conflict with the law, as well as orphans and children of prisoners. The Commission works to identify their specific needs and suggest measures to help support and protect these children. The NCPCR also engages with international treaties and agreements related to child rights. They periodically review existing national policies and programs to assess their effectiveness in implementing child rights and suggest improvements where necessary. In addition to these functions, the NCPCR promotes research in the field of child rights. They strive to enhance understanding and awareness of child rights issues among different sections of society. By educating the community, they seek to ensure that more people know about the protections in place to safeguard children's rights. The Commission has the right to inspect juvenile homes and other institutions where children are kept, whether run by the government or private organizations. This is to ensure these places meet the required standards for the safe treatment and rehabilitation of children. Moreover, the NCPCR can inquire into complaints or issues related to the violation of child rights. They are also able to act independently in these matters, which means they can take action even if a case hasn't been formally reported. This includes looking into situations where children are deprived of their rights, where there is a failure to implement protective laws, or where there is non-compliance with policies designed to support children. It is important to note that while the NCPCR has these extensive powers, it cannot look into issues that are currently pending with the State Commission for Protection of Child Rights or any other statutory commission. This ensures that there is no overlap in investigations and that each body can work effectively within its jurisdiction. In conclusion, the NCPCR serves as a vital protector of child rights in India. Through its various functions, it strives to ensure that all children have the opportunity to live in a safe and supportive environment where their rights are recognized and respected. The Commission's work is essential in promoting awareness and fostering a culture that prioritizes the well-being and development of every child in the country. Powers and functions of the Commission. When the Commission is looking into any issue, it has many of the same powers as a civil court. This means it can do things that help it gather information and make decisions. Specifically, the Commission can call people to come and talk to them, and they have the authority to ask these individuals questions under oath, meaning they are legally obligated to tell the truth. Request the showing of any important documents needed for the inquiry. Accept statements and evidence that are given in written form called affidavits. Obtain public records from any court or government office, which can help in their investigation. Issue summons, which are official orders, to witnesses or to present written documents. How the Commission works after an inquiry. After the Commission finishes looking into a matter, it has several options for what to do next. These include: the Commission can suggest that the government or relevant authority start legal proceedings against someone if they think it is necessary. This means they can recommend that someone be taken to court for their actions. The Commission has the ability to approach either the Supreme Court or the High Court to request specific orders or legal decisions. This is a way to seek higher authority support for their findings. Additionally, if the inquiry reveals that a victim needs immediate help, the Commission can recommend to the government that temporary support or compensation be provided to them. Once the Commission has completed an inquiry, it must report its findings to both the central government and the relevant state government. This report includes what actions they recommend and must be shared with the legislatures in those areas. Both governments are also required to explain what actions they have taken based on the Commission's recommendations and provide reasons if they choose not to follow any suggestions. They need to do this within 1 year of receiving the report. Relevant constitutional articles. The powers and functions of the Commission are guided by the Constitution of India. Article 338, for instance, outlines the establishment of the National Commission for Scheduled Castes and Scheduled Tribes, detailing its role in protecting the rights of these communities. Article 340 provides for the establishment of a commission to investigate the difficulties of certain classes, ensuring that their needs are addressed properly. Moreover, The related laws such as the Protection of Human Rights Act, 1993 established the National Human Rights Commission, which also plays a significant role in safeguarding human rights and provides a framework for the functioning of various commissions in India. Overall, the Commission operates within a structured legal framework to ensure justice and protection for citizens, making its work crucial in upholding the principles of democracy in India. It acts as a bridge between the common people and the governing authorities, providing a path for grievances to be addressed and resolved. Functions of the Commission under various acts. The Commission for the Protection of Child Rights, CPCR, in India has several important tasks. Besides its regular functions, it also operates under 3 specific laws that focus on children's rights. These laws outline various roles that the Commission needs to fulfill to ensure children's protection and well-being. 1. The Right of Children to Free and Compulsory Education, RTE, Act, 2009. The RTE Act is a significant law that guarantees all children between the ages of 6 and 14 the right to free and compulsory education. Under this Act, the Commission has several responsibilities. Firstly, it must review the safeguards established by this law to ensure that children's educational rights are protected. The Commission is responsible for suggesting ways to implement these protections effectively. Secondly, if there are complaints about violations of a child's right to education, the Commission is tasked with investigating these complaints. This means looking into any issues that might prevent a child from receiving education as guaranteed by the RTE Act. After completing these inquiries, the Commission takes necessary steps to address the problems found. The powers of the Commission during these investigations are similar to those granted under the Commissions for the Protection of Child Rights Act, 2005. This means the Commission can summon witnesses and gather evidence to ensure a thorough investigation. 2. The Protection of Children from the Sexual Offences, POCSO, Act, 2012. The POCSO Act is an essential law aimed at protecting children from sexual abuse. Under this Act, the Commission has specific duties. The Commission is responsible for monitoring how well the provisions of this law are being put into practice. This means it has to keep an eye on schools, organizations, and systems that are supposed to protect children from sexual offenses. In case of any inquiry relating to offenses under this Act, the Commission has similar powers as those under the 2005 Child Rights Act. This authority allows it to conduct investigations effectively. Additionally, the Commission is required to include its activities related to the POCSO Act in its annual reports. These reports help in tracking the implementation and effectiveness of the law over time. 3. The Juvenile Justice, Care and Protection Act, 2015. The Juvenile Justice Act is designed to handle cases involving minors who are in conflict with the law or who need care and protection. Under this Act, the Commission has the following roles. The Commission must monitor how well the provisions of this Act are being implemented. It plays a crucial role in ensuring that the rights of juveniles are upheld and their needs are met. When investigating issues related to offences under this Act, the Commission is given similar powers as it has under the Commissions for the Protection of Child Rights Act, 2005. Just like with the RTE and POCSO Acts, the Commission is also expected to include its efforts and findings related to the Juvenile Justice Act in its annual reports. Conclusion. In conclusion, the Commission for the Protection of Child Rights has vital responsibilities under various laws that aim to safeguard children's rights in India. The RTE Act ensures that every child receives an education, the POCSO Act protects children from sexual abuse, and the Juvenile Justice Act addresses the needs of minors in difficult situations. By monitoring these laws and carrying out inquiries, the Commission plays a crucial role in advocating for children's welfare and ensuring their rights are upheld. Understanding these functions helps one appreciate the framework established to protect and care for children in India as stipulated in Articles 21 and 39 E and F of the Indian Constitution, which emphasize the right to life and the protection of children from exploitation. State Commission for Protection of Child Rights. The State Commission for Protection of Child Rights plays an important role in ensuring the rights and welfare of children in India. This body was established under the Commissions for Protection of Child Rights Act of 2005, which aims to safeguard the rights of children in various situations and environments. According to the Act, each state government has the authority to set up its own State Commission for Protection of Child Rights. This is done by issuing a formal notice, called a Gazette notification. Once established, the Commission works closely with the National Commission for Protection of Child Rights, which operates at the national level. Together, these commissions aim to create a safe and supportive environment for children. The functions of a state commission include monitoring and reviewing the various laws, policies, and programs that relate to children's welfare. It is responsible for addressing complaints regarding violations of children's rights, promoting awareness about children's rights, and ensuring that state laws align with national and international standards regarding child rights. For instance, they focus on issues like child labor, child abuse, and education. In terms of constitutional backing, the foundation of child rights in India is rooted in Article 21 of the Indian Constitution, which guarantees the right to life and personal liberty. Moreover, Article 39(e) and 39(f) underline the responsibility of the state to ensure that children are not abused and that childhood is protected against exploitation and against anything that is harmful to their health or morals. Also worth mentioning is Article 44 of the Constitution, which encourages the creation of laws that safeguard children's rights, including but not limited to their education, health care, and protection from exploitation. Additionally, the Right to Education Act, which was enacted in 2009, ensures that children in the age group of 6 to 14 years have access to free and compulsory education. The establishment of the State Commission for Protection of Child Rights is a proactive step towards ensuring that children's voices are heard and their rights are protected at both the state and national levels. Each state's commission operates with specific powers, including the ability to call upon witnesses, require documents, and seek assistance from various government bodies. Overall, the work of the State Commission is vital for building a society where children can grow up in a safe, supportive, and nurturing environment. Its various initiatives and outreach programs also strive to educate communities about children's rights, emphasizing the importance of protecting the most vulnerable members of our society. Overview of the State Commission for the Protection of Child Rights. The State Commission for the Protection of Child Rights is an important organization that works to ensure the welfare and rights of children. This commission is made up of multiple members, including a chairperson and 6 other members. It is essential for this group to represent a variety of expertise and perspectives to effectively address issues facing children. The chairperson is a key figure in the commission. They are required to be someone who is well respected and has significantly contributed to improving the lives of children. The other 6 members must also have special knowledge or experience in areas related to children, such as education, child health, social services for neglected children, and laws pertaining to the rights of children. Notably, out of the 6 members, at least 2 must be women, promoting gender equality within the Commission's structure. Appointment and term. The state government is responsible for appointing the chairperson and members of the Commission. The chairperson's appointment is based on the recommendation from a 3-member selection committee. This committee is chaired by the minister responsible for children's affairs in the state. Both the chairperson and members serve a term of 3 years. However, They cannot serve more than 2 consecutive terms. There are age limits for holding these positions. The chairperson can be no older than 65 years, while members cannot be older than 60 years. If a member wants to leave their position, they can resign by writing to the state government. Removal from office. The state government also has the authority to remove the chairperson or a member from their position under certain conditions. These include situations where the individual is proven to misbehave, is unable to perform their duties, or engages in any paid work outside their role in the commission. If a member is declared mentally unsound by a competent court, or if they are found guilty of a serious crime that reflects poorly on their character, they too can be removed. Additionally, if a member misses 3 consecutive meetings of the commission, they can also be dismissed. Legal framework. The establishment and functioning of the State Commission for the Protection of Child Rights are guided by various articles of the Indian Constitution. For example, Article 15 prohibits discrimination based on religion, race, caste, sex, or place of birth, ensuring that all children have equal rights. Article 21 guarantees the right to life and personal liberty, which includes the protection of children's rights as essential components. One of the core laws that empowers these commissions is the Commissions for Protection of Child Rights Act, 2005. This law allows for the setting up of commissions at both the national and state levels to monitor and protect child rights. The Commission plays a crucial role in addressing issues like child labor, child abuse, and children's health, ensuring that children's rights are respected and promoted throughout the country. Conclusion. The State Commission for the Protection of Child Rights is an essential body dedicated to safeguarding the rights and needs of children in India. With a well-defined structure that includes experienced and knowledgeable individuals, the Commission works diligently to address various challenges faced by children. Through comprehensive guidelines for appointments and removal, the Commission ensures accountability and effectiveness in its operations, contributing to the improvement of children's lives across the nation. Functions of the State Commission for Child Rights. The State Commission for Child Rights plays an essential role in ensuring that children are treated fairly and their rights are protected. Here are the main jobs that the Commission does. First, one of its primary tasks is to look at the laws that are meant to protect the rights of children. The Commission checks these laws to see if they are working well and suggests ways to improve them. This is important because it makes sure that the laws are effectively supporting children's rights. Every year, the Commission prepares a report about how these child protection laws are working and presents this information to the state government. The Commission can also write reports at other times if it feels it is necessary. This helps keep the government informed about the situation of children's rights in the state. Another significant function of the Commission is to investigate any claims of child rights violations. If there are cases where children's rights have been hurt, the Commission looks into them and suggests that legal actions be taken. This means that it not only identifies problems but also encourages steps to fix them. The Commission also studies various issues that can hinder children from enjoying their rights. This includes problems caused by terrorism, communal violence, natural disasters, domestic violence, diseases like HIV, AIDS, trafficking, and exploitation. By understanding these issues, the Commission can suggest better solutions to protect children affected by these circumstances. Furthermore, the Commission pays special attention to children who need extra help. This includes children who are in distress, marginalized, those in conflict with the law, juveniles, children without families, and children of prisoners. The Commission works to find methods to improve their situations. In an increasingly globalized world, it is essential for the Commission to stay updated on international laws and treaties that relate to children's rights. It regularly reviews local policies and programs concerning child rights and offers suggestions for their better implementation. Promoting awareness about children's rights is another essential function of the Commission. It works to educate society about children's rights and the laws that protect them, making sure people know what safeguards are available. The Commission also has the authority to inspect juvenile homes and other facilities where children are kept for treatment or protection. This is crucial to ensure that these places are safe and that the children's rights are being upheld. If issues are found during these inspections, the Commission takes these problems up with the authorities responsible. Moreover, the Commission can act on its own to address issues related to child rights violations, non-implementation of protective laws, and failure to comply with policies designed to aid children. This shows its commitment to hold authorities accountable for their actions or inactions regarding children's welfare. Finally, the Commission can carry out any other activities that it thinks are necessary to promote and advocate for children's rights. This flexibility allows it to adapt to new challenges and changing circumstances regarding child rights in the state. In India, the protection of child rights is built upon various constitutional articles, such as Article 21, which grants the right to life and personal liberty, ensuring that children are protected from harm. Additionally, the Right of Children to Free and Compulsory Education Act, 2009, aims to provide children with the right to free, quality education, while the Juvenile Justice, Care and Protection of Children Act, 2015, establishes a framework for the care, protection, and rehabilitation of children in conflict with the law and children in need of care and protection. By fulfilling these functions and referring to the relevant laws and articles, the State Commission for Child Rights ensures that children grow up in a safe environment and that their rights are respected and upheld across the state. The State Commission plays an important role when looking into different matters of public concern. It has a range of powers similar to those of a civil court, which is a type of court that deals with non-criminal cases. This means that when the Commission investigates an issue, it can use specific legal tools to gather information and evidence. One of the key powers the State Commission has is to summon or call any person to appear before it. This means that if the Commission believes someone has information relevant to an inquiry, it can require that person to come and provide their testimony, usually under oath. Taking an oath is a formal promise to tell the truth, which makes the statements given to the Commission more trustworthy. The Commission also has the authority to demand the discovery and production of documents. In simpler terms, this means it can ask for any necessary papers or records from individuals or organizations to support its investigation. These could include financial records, official documents, or any other materials that might help clarify the matter being examined. Additionally, the State Commission can receive evidence in the form of affidavits. An affidavit is a written statement confirmed by oath or affirmation, which can provide crucial information or insights into the case. This allows the Commission to gather information from people who may not be able to attend in person. Another significant power is the ability to requisition public records from various courts or offices. This means the Commission can request access to existing documents that are held in public records. These could be important records related to the case it is investigating and can serve as valuable evidence. Finally, the Commission can issue summons. A summons is a legal document that orders someone to appear in court or provide certain information. In this context, the Commission can use summons to call witnesses or require the submission of documents that are necessary for the investigation. In India, the rights and powers of the State Commission are often defined under various constitutional articles and laws. For example, the Commission operates under the framework of the Constitution of India, which grants it the authority to carry out these functions. The specifics may also be outlined in laws like the Protection of Human Rights Act of 1993 for the National Human Rights Commission, NHRC, or state human rights commissions, which provide guidelines on how these commissions can operate and what powers they hold. Overall, these powers are designed to ensure that the State Commission can effectively conduct inquiries, gather evidence, and uphold justice in various matters concerning the public interest. Once a State Commission has completed its investigation, it can take several actions. First, it has the authority to suggest that the state government or the relevant authority should start legal proceedings against the person involved in the issue. This step is crucial if the Commission believes that there are legal grounds for prosecution or other appropriate measures against the individual. Secondly, the State Commission can seek help from the Supreme Court or the High Court in the state. This means that if the Commission feels that it requires further legal direction or specific orders to address the matter effectively, it can appeal to these higher courts for assistance. This is an important step as it underscores the Commission's role in ensuring justice and legal compliance. Additionally, the Commission can recommend that the state government or authority provide immediate support to the victim. This could involve various forms of relief, which might include financial assistance, protection, or any other necessary help to ensure the victim's safety and well-being during the process. Every year, or when specifically needed, the State Commission prepares reports that summarize its findings and recommendations. These reports are sent to the state government, who then presents them to the state legislature. Along with these reports, a memorandum is included detailing what actions have been taken on the Commission's suggestions. If any of the recommendations were not accepted, the memorandum provides reasons for that as well. The working of state commissions is guided by various articles in the Indian Constitution, particularly Article 338, which lays down the framework for the National Commission for Scheduled Castes and Scheduled Tribes. State commissions operate similarly at the state level, addressing grievances and ensuring justice for marginalized sections of society. Additionally, the Protection of Human Rights Act, 1993, establishes state human rights commissions with various powers that align with the functions described above, allowing them to protect and promote human rights within their respective states. These mechanisms are in place to ensure that justice is served and individuals can seek proper recourse for their grievances through structured legal channels, reinforcing the commitment of the Indian legal system to uphold the rights and dignity of all citizens. Children's courts in India. In India, the protection of children's rights is taken very seriously, and one of the ways this is done is through the establishment of children's courts. These courts were created under the Commissions for Protection of Child Rights Act of 2005. The main purpose of these courts is to ensure that any crimes committed against children or violations of their rights are handled quickly and fairly. Each state government in India has the authority to set up at least one children's court. In some cases, a separate children's court may be designated for each district within the state. However, the establishment of these courts requires the agreement of the Chief Justice of the High Court in that state. This means that there must be coordination between the state government and the judiciary to ensure that the children's courts are properly set up. To help prosecute cases in these courts, the state government appoints a special public prosecutor. This prosecutor must either be a public prosecutor already appointed by the state or an advocate who has been practicing law for at least 7 years. This requirement for experience helps ensure that the legal proceedings are conducted effectively and that the rights of children are given serious attention. Regarding the legal framework, the establishment of children's courts aligns with Article 39(e) and Article 39(f) of the Constitution of India. These articles direct the state to ensure that children are not exploited and that they are given opportunities and facilities to develop in a healthy manner. They underline the need for special care for children, considering that they are among the most vulnerable members of society. In conclusion, children's courts play a crucial role in the Indian legal system by protecting the rights of children and ensuring swift justice for offences against them. These courts not only highlight the importance of children's rights but also help in creating a safer environment for the younger population by addressing their issues in a dedicated manner.